Okay, if you're on the live, I had some, of course I had to have technical difficulties. I updated the software I use, and then of course it took off my iPhone abilities, and I can't figure out how to get it back on. So, we are live here from just my phone, but I do have my laptop open to the Facebook Craft Room page to hopefully be able to see any comments. That come through. We'll give it a couple more minutes for people to join in. Hi, Don. I wonder, does Facebook let you? I'm going to turn this, see if it turns for me. I doubt it will. Okay, no, it doesn't. All right. It has to be this direction. Oh, goodness. Hello, goodbye. Sorry about that. Never do an update. Just keep working with what you got. All right, we're still a little funny looking. Okay. I wish I could make it bigger, but I can't. So I apologize. This is about as big as it's going to get. But I will get started. I want to welcome everybody. Those who are just joining, I was talking about how I did an update on my computer for the software that I use, because it keeps asking me, you should update, and I keep declining it. And now I know why I keep declining it, because it takes off my ability to do the iPhone, and then I got to do a bunch of research and figure out how to be able to get that back on there. So, but nevertheless, we are live and we're going to keep going. It's just going to be a little bit different looking tonight. So we are going to be creating an ugly sweater mini quilt. I have different steps involved, and I'm excited to share those with you. For those who want a better look, I don't know if you can see the sparkles that are going on here. I'm going to share that as well. This is a new product called Sparkle Paste. But we'll get started. All right. So on the website, on ThermOWeb's blog, I have linked that in the description. It tells you the supplies you need. And for the sake of tonight's live, I'm going to be creating a small, almost like a mug rug for parts of it. And then I have a bigger version already partially made that will finish it up so that I can show you every single step of this process. So let's begin. So we want to begin, you will need, the sweater is a 5-inch square, and then the backing, I have cut a 6.5-inch square. And this is also for the mini quilt. The difference is with the mug rug, we're making just one. The mini quilt has a total of 4, which I don't want to show you the one that we're working on yet, but as you can see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So same sizes. But before we get to that, we have to adhere some HeatnBond Lite sewable. This is an iron-on adhesive that will help make the applique process a lot easier. So we are going to put it has like a textured side. We're going to put the textured side face down on the back of our fabric, and we'll press for just a few seconds. and we'll let it cool. Now this next step is optional. I really like it. I'm going to be using another ThermOWeb item. It is called their pattern and stencil adhesive. It makes it really nice so that your patterns or your stencils don't move around, because the backing of this can be a little slick, and if it moves around, it can throw off your drawing. It just makes it easier. So for this, I'm going to spray it to the backing on here, just this tiniest bit. I'm going to kind of pull it back so that, I don't know if you can see that. I spray just the tiniest bit on there. I'm going to show you what this does. So this pattern I have today is a stencil. It's from Missouri Star Quilt Company. It comes like this. It's 2 patterns in one. We're going to be using the small one, but it's a snuggly Christmas sweater. And what this adhesive does is it will allow me to place the stencil down without getting any residue on it, because it's on the paper. And look at that. I can lift it up. It's not going to move around on me when I'm trying to trace it, which is great. It also works great with pattern stencils as well, and I've used that in other videos. So we're going to trace our sweater. Like so, and then you just peel it off. No harm done. Next, we will need to cut this out. So this might be the slowest part of the entire project, is cutting out all the sweaters. And I'll show you another example I have. I've made another little one, and I've done some extra work to it. We're not going to do that on this one tonight, but I'll show you what I did. You can get really fancy with your applique on these sweaters and make them as cute or as ugly as you want. This is a great scrap buster. You notice I'm just throwing my garbage on the ground. Normally in the video you don't see that, but that's what I do here, so it's just out of my way and I go back and clean it up. So I know Dawn put it in the comments, but if you're just jumping on and you haven't read through it, make sure to put a comment in. I believe we're giving away a chance for a $25 gift card to shop on the ThermOWeb online store. So we have a very adorable kitty cat Christmas sweater. I would wear this, and not to an ugly sweater party. I would just wear this. It's adorable. What I'm referring to is if you want to get really fancy, you could even cut out other shapes and add details. You can add details in the center, on the cuffs, the collar, the band. Sky's the limit on this. All right, so once you have your sweater cut out, we'll need to adhere it to the front of our front fabric piece. I'm just going to give it a little bit of water and do just a little steam to it. Make sure it's nice and flat. I am going to put a small crease in it just so that I can have a general idea where the center is. You can also eyeball it if you want. I'm just doing it on the very edges. It's not going to be in the center. All right. So we're going to peel off the paper backing of our sweater and align it on our front background piece. And I'm using my guidelines. And then I am just eyeballing it top to bottom for what I want. And you'll use your iron and you'll press to adhere it. Okay, and those go away. This next part, we're going to use scrap again. I'm actually going to trim this down. So this is just a scrap piece of batting. You can use batting, you can use HeatnBond fusible fleece. That works great too. This just happens to be some scraps that I had. And I'm going to cut it down just slightly bigger than my front piece. And then you'll need a piece of backing as well, and I need to press this. And I will also be using a basting spray. I have mentioned several times I love this. Ever since I started using it, I have never pin based again. It's actually made me enjoy quilting more. I'd always dread when I had to baste a quilt before quilting. I always ended up getting like bubbles. Just wasn't for me, but I love that. So we're just going to sandwich our quilt together. So sandwiching just means putting the 3 layers together, and the basting spray just holds them all together for us. So I'm going to check the chat real quick, just see what's going on, and then we'll keep going. Okay. All right, so next what we're going to do is I am going to do this. It will be off screen because I don't have my second video camera set up. I am going to applique around here, and it shouldn't take me more than about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and I'll be right back. You'll hear me off in the distance. So I did just a basic zigzag stitch around. You can do a blanket stitch, you can even do just a straight stitch. Choose your favorite. Now I am going to trim this and get it ready for the next step, but the next step we're going to move on and do on the bigger one. Now, if you were making this with the 4 together, you would have wanted to sew together your 4 pieces first before basting it and sandwiching it and putting it together with your backing. And I'm just hand cutting this out. You can use a rotary cutter if you want, or go rogue and cut it with some scissors. So I'm going to bring over the other one here in just a moment, and I'll bring this one back momentarily as well. So for the one I did earlier, I pieced it all together, and I've got strings on the back. I pieced it all together, and then I made my sandwich, and then I did the applique of the sweatshirts, and then I also quilted it. You can see my wavy quilt pattern. And here is the result. This one also has some sparkle paste on it, and we're going to go over that in a little bit. But I wanted to share with how you can take a mini quilt like this and put it on a hanger. So you can buy a hanger, I don't know if I can get it in there, that looks like this, and hang it. That's what I hung the original one on. And it's really nice. It's a very easy way to decorate and create different quilts for the different seasons. So this quilt ended up being approximately 12 inches by 12 inches, and that's what this size frame is for, be around 12 and a half inches. So these being each 6.5. Once it was quilted and everything was trimmed down, it was right around the 12 and a half mark. Sometimes when you quilt, things kind of shrink up a little bit. So we are going to be adding what we need to hang it. So I'm going to put this up here. As you can see, there's like a little hole in there, and we're going to create little tabs where you can slide it in. I'm going to share that with you. So for that, once you've gotten your quilted piece, you're going to need two 2-inch by 3-inch pieces of fabric. I like to go with whatever my backing is. It kind of camouflages it a little bit. What we need to do with these 2 pieces is we need to fold over about 1/4 of an inch on the shorter side, so on the 2-inch side, and fold over both sides of both pieces. And then we're going to top stitch them. So I'm going to go over to my machine, and I'm just going to do a top stitch down both sides. And then what you're going to do, once you've top stitched, and that's just so you have a nice finished edge, you're going to fold them over and press. My machine, I kind of wanted to eat it a little bit. Best thing to do for that is to have like a starter, which I ended up pulling over. And by a starter, what I mean is just an old piece of fabric you can stick in the machine to kind of get it going, and then it helps so that it doesn't eat your fabric. All right, so we have our two pieces. Now how we attach them is we attach them when we add the binding. So when I do my binding, I machine stitch it all on. And I stitch from the back first. So what you're going to need to do with your little tabs is you'll want to pin them to the top of your quilt, and it's going to go under the binding when you first put it on. So you want to make sure you got your center, and you want to have it just slightly over on both sides. And you'll pin them in place. Like so. And when you add your binding, you'll go around and this will come across here, and I'm going to stitch, and that's going to lock those into place on the back. So I'm going to go over to my machine, and I'm going to add my binding. So hang tight with me, and I'll be right back, and then I will share with you how we add the sparkle and glitter, which makes everything better. to come back over just a minute so there wasn't such a huge long pause. So I've got this sewn onto the back, and as you can see, there's my tabs. They're up inside the binding, and I am going to go back over and adhere the binding, but I thought I'd just come over and share again how I bring it around to the front. So what I do is sometimes I will press, sometimes I won't. Usually with something small, I won't. So what I do is I fold my binding over to right where it meets the edge. And then I'll do a second fold like that. And then again, I machine stitch it on the front. I used to hand stitch it, and then I found machine binding and I never went back. And then when I get to the corner, let me kind of fold and press that so I can show you what I do in the corner. So the corner will also be folded over. See how it creates that mitered, it's gonna be a mitered corner. And then sometimes I have to play with it just a little bit when I'm at the machine, but once I get it, I will fold it, and then this side will lay, and I'll stitch right there, and you can see my mitered corner. So I am going to go stitch this. I promised I would have a finished thing that we can hang on the frame, and I can show you how that works, and then I'm going to go over adding the sparkle. got that on there. I'll turn it over in just a second. Okay. You can see, got my little hangers back there. Now, how do we hang that up? We hang that up by sliding them onto the middle piece. Like that. And now it will hang. It will hang really nice. So I am going to take it off though, because the next step is adding the sparkle. Because what would a new product called Sparkle Paste. It's HeatnBond Sparkle Paste by Jennifer Long Story. It comes in a variety of colors. The colors I have are orange, it's pumpkin. This one is like a pink, it's called Sugar. And I also have this really pretty Snowflake. It's like a white iridescent. So for this one, I think we're going to, let's use some of the iridescent. Now there's different application methods. In a previous Facebook Live, I did like a scraping stencil method. Tonight, I'm going to use a paintbrush and just kind of pick up some of the paste. It is a paste, so it is thick. And then I just kind of put it where I want it. I'm going to put it on the kitty cats for this. And since it's the iridescent, I said white, but it's not white. It's an iridescent. So it's just going to pick up the light and be sparkles and glitter. So you can put on as much or as little as you like. And I'll show you on the other one the different ways I did them. They're all done with the paintbrush for this project. Okay. Let me see if I can bring this up where you can kind of see the sparkle. Now this does have to dry, so I'm going to put this aside. It has to dry before you can do a heat set. So on this one you can see I did both like that sugar pink, and I also did some of the iridescent on the kitty cats, and then the donuts. It was perfect to do around those. Cupcakes I did on the icing, and then this blue snowflake one, I think you can see it. I did it over the entire piece. And it's so pretty. Now to set them, you do need some kind of pressing paper. I am using ThermOWeb's pressing paper. Comes with 5 sheets, and they can be used multiple times, which is great. Just gotta find it. It fell on the ground. Here we go. So you'll want to press for 60 seconds. And once you press it, you can wash it. Since this wasn't pressed before, I noticed as I was sewing that the glitter was coming off. And I actually had done in the previous Facebook Live, I had done where I had made a mistake, and I went over and I rinsed it off, and it all came off in just a rinse since I had not set it yet. So, but once you set it, it does not come off. Now for time's sake, I'm just going to press this one, and I'll go back and do the other 3 after the show. Otherwise, we'll be standing here for another 3 minutes without getting other information out to you. So you do want to let it cure for 24 hours after you have set the sparkle paste. But there you have it. And then just for fun, you know, I have a mug rug, and I love the variety that this project offers. As you can see, I did a little bit more of a traditional Christmas, not so much. I mean, there's some pinks and blues in here, but this is, I would say, more of a traditional Christmas. You can see I put a lot of sparkle paste on that one. It's so sparkly. And then I had a lot of fun doing a pink and blue one with this one. And of course, it has food on it. I love food fabrics, anything to do with food. It goes along with my little donut pin cushion. And then, of course, I will turn this one into another mug rug. These are great for little gifts, holiday exchanges. If there are any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And yes, I would wear any of these as well, too. And I love their crew necks. I am a crew neck kind of girl. I don't like hoodies or anything. I like very basic sweatshirt. Love it. So, yeah, so I'm going to leave it open for just another minute. I am going to maybe do some pressing, see if there's any other comments that need to come through, people catching on at the last minute. And then I don't know if Dawn will do the drawing for the gift card. So I'll keep it going through there. Again, I apologize for the small screen. I will have it fixed by next time. Just a public service announcement. Don't update your stuff at the last minute. All right, our winner from the generator is Kathy Richards. Congratulations. Hop on over to their website and check out that sparkle paste. There are more colors I want to try. Some people are afraid of glitter. I'm not. So again, everyone, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Till next time in the new year, if you can believe it. The next one I will do will be in January 2025. And thanks again to everyone for joining tonight. Happy holidays. All right. Have a good night.